So when I had the privilege of watching wrestling for the very first time, it was this man, Eddie Guerrero. And I can't tell you how powerful it was to see my last name on television and to see him fight against Rey Mysterio on WrestleMania and every time I watched SmackDown after and be the best wrestler on SmackDown and be the best wrestler on WrestleMania. Before I even knew what good graps were, before I even knew what lucha libre was, I knew that Eddie Guerrero was the best wrestler I had ever laid my eyes on. And it wasn't just because he had my last name. And every time I hear Punk, every time I hear Sasha Banks, every time I hear Paul Heyman, different guys say that Eddie Guerrero would hold the belt for 3 years right now and that he'd be the greatest wrestler of all time if he was alive. I know that that's true because that's what I felt every time I saw him on my screen. It's not something I could articulate as a 5-year-old or as a 6-year-old, but it's something that I think touched me and touched so many different others. And I had no idea. That's, I think, what got me back into wrestling is seeing Ray again come out again with that lowrider and pay homage to that and his win and all of that because man, Eddie, bro, like during that time in 2005, 2004, 2003 when he was popped off and his death, he was the top of the world. I think he's the pinnacle of what wrestling can and should be. And I will always bring up Eddie Guerrero. And I think that's why you still hear Eddie, Eddie in different crowds, whether or not it's AEW, whether or not it's different things. And that's why Dominic is carrying his legacy because that Guerrero legacy, and these guys are royalty. Cody Rhodes, the bloodline, talks about the wrestling's got one royal family. The Guerrero fucking line, bro, in Lucha Libre and WWE is unmatched. Unfucking touched and unfucking matched. Fucking Gory Guerrero, all of these guys, bro, like
Chavo.
they've been in Lucha Chavo, they've been in Lucha Libre for longer than the Roads, longer than the Bloodlines, and all of these guys, and they deserve that respect.
So what do you guys think of Eddie, man?
We're
And have
5.
you guys heard anybody chant Eddie's
I think it's
name?
5.
Is there a move that causes that kind of a reaction in wrestling fans across promotion?
I
To
will
me,
say,
oh, you go ahead.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Go
go.
ahead.
To me, I didn't grow up watching Eddie. Um, during the was it when he was like Ray and who were the top five or what they call it, the big five?
Kurt Angle, Edge, Eddie, Ray, and Taker, and
Yeah,
just the
unfortunately,
SmackDown 5.
I didn't grow up watching SmackDown, so I didn't I didn't I didn't see Eddie wrestle live. Never. To me, I didn't know. I knew of him, but like, I just don't know. I didn't never saw him wrestle live. So because I grew up watching, Raw, John Cena, the Shawn Michaels. That's all I watched. But over time, in documentaries, in interviews of how wrestlers speak about Eddie, how he had a big influence about towards them, and even now, like the younger generation still talk about Eddie because that's how good he was. Like I sent this interview of Punk talking about Eddie. Like people actually love this dude. He actually cared about the craft and helping other people perfect their craft. That's why he has a big influence on all these wrestlers from all generations.
So what would you say, Aaron, is his influence? What do you say? What would you say is, because it's one thing to say that he influenced them, but like I guess I want to dig a little deeper. What is it do you think that influenced, or what do you think that wrestlers really liked about him? And then
It's
start out, Aaron, and then if you want to finish, Omar, go ahead.
it's the small things that us fans don't know. It's only wrestlers know how the little things matter in wrestling, how to put together a match, how to feed off the crowd, how to, bring in the crowd in when they're down. It's like the little stuff that us fans will never understand, and that is important to these wrestlers because that's how you grab their attention is the crowd. You need the crowd to have wrestling matches. That's probably the most important thing. So that's what wrestlers talk about. Like Eddie, Punk, he talked about like he told the story like, oh, he was because he got fired from WWE and then he got rehired and then he was the IC champ, but he still fulfilled a day with this indie company where Punk was champion. Like he didn't have to do that. And then to also to say like, oh, I don't want to beat your champion because I'm not going to be here next week. Like those are the little things that make Eddie great and wrestlers appreciate.
So sounds like people talk about his in-ring work, right, Aaron? For the record.
Yeah.
Thanks. Omar, go ahead. What do you think his influence is? Shout out Young Hennessy.
Look, his influence is Mikey for me. I don't know about Eddie Guerrero without Mikey. I remember Mikey had the undisputed belt, and I remember him like just rocking that belt, and him showing me my first introduction to Eddie Guerrero was the Tres Amigos sign, which is the move that you were talking about, Waddle, that he does with that so many wrestlers do now. Andrade, Liv Morgan, like all of that stuff. And so the WWE Championship belt that he won, he had the little music notes of Tres Amigos, and that was my introduction to it. Is that Mikey, showed me that belt and showed me that little custom side plate. That was like a side plate before there were side plates.
Is that an Eddie thing?
Yeah, it's an Eddie thing, bro. The three music notes,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Art Bar, Chris Benoit, and Eddie. Those are the Tres Amigos, and so that's where that move comes from. Is those three guys, and so that legacy, that belt, it carries that because of Eddie, and so Mick told me that Mikey, and
Small Package Wrestling is a wrestling podcast focused on recapping and analyzing WWE shows and related wrestling topics. It's hosted by three wrestling enthusiasts, two brothers and their cousin, who share their takes on weekly WWE programming like Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. Storyline breakdowns, character discussion, humor, and fan perspective each episode. We're here, bro. We outside.
on Google.